Hello and welcome to the Killing Time with Arch podcast. My name is Arch Grieve, aka Gem City Dudist Priest on TikTok, and this is the show where I interview your favorite and soon-to-be new favorite TikTok stars and learn more about the people behind the videos you love to spend hours flipping through. My guest today is Matt Gibson, aka Salinas, and he's a crazy talented rocker and fellow Ohioan from way up north in Cleveland. I've been friends with him for a while on here and been wanting to talk to him forever because he has some incredible original songs, both lyrically and musically. So join me for my conversation with him about his work and more in just a moment. And I'm going to work on those transitions a little bit better here soon. But hey, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me. I think it was a fantastic transition. So,
well, how's your holiday season been for you and the family?
It's been very good. Very busy, as you can imagine, if you have 3 kids under the age of 7.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but also, because of that, it's like super fun again. So that's always good.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Well, so I obviously I asked you on today because we are friends on TikTok, but you make some kick-ass music, and I wonder if maybe just to start off, you could describe a little bit about your style a little bit for people, and I'm curious too who some of your musical influences are.
So yeah, my style, I would say it's like broad spectrum. It's like alternative rock. Kind of like 90s influenced, I guess, is what people tell me. Which I am influenced by that music. So, kind of aggressive, kind of punky. Lyrically, I'm just I say it's like emo music for adults trying to figure out life instead of like teens whining about their crushes.
Right.
That's how I would maybe most creatively explain it. And as for my musical influences, it's weird. I got somebody asked me this the other day on TikTok, and I was thinking, I'm like, gosh, my 2 biggest influences are like the Beatles and then NoFX, the punk band. So, and I guess my sound or my songs is probably somewhere in between there. But yeah, I guess that's probably it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, and before we get too far too, you go by the stage name or San Salinas, which we were talking about a little bit before the show and everything, and I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about where that came from, because I remember watching a video you kind of explained it, and I thought it was a pretty cool story.
Yeah. So when I was starting to make this whole project, I ultimately it'd be cool to be a full band, so I wanted like a band type name, but also something that I could just kind of go by, almost like a Tame Impala type name. So then I was reading East of Eden at the time, probably like the second time, I think, by John Steinbeck, and it's my favorite book. He's my favorite author, and he's from Salinas, California, and most of his books, especially East of Eden, is set there. And something about his general ethos or philosophy or attitude, I knew just kind of was going to align with what I was doing. Sure. So I was just going to be Salinas, but then there's some like Mexican band, so I had to go from there. And then San Salinas sounds, so there we are.
Nice, I like it.
He's
the one that wrote Grapes of Wrath, is that right?
Yeah.
I've never read any of his stuff, so I guess I need to put him on my list there. So,
dude, you would love him. You would totally love. I think both Grapes of Wrath and East of Eden. Possibly more Grapes of Wrath because of your social issues that you are passionate about, but East of Eden is just a lot of wisdom, So
nice. All right. Well, yeah. I will add him to the to-do reading list. That's super long, that I never get through, but I will do that for sure.
Yeah, it's funny. Someone on TikTok, I think yesterday, was like, "You're giving off major English teacher with rock and roll vibes," and I'm like, well, I was an English major in college. I have substitute taught. I like to read, so I'm like, you really, I must just be screaming that out. So.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't know you were a substitute teacher. That's pretty cool. So,
well, it was only for it was only for like 2 months, because after I graduated from Ohio University, I wanted to stick around for the next semester, for like the last semester of the year, because I already had an apartment, and my cover band had a weekly gig that I just couldn't leave behind. So I just stuck around, and shit, where was I even going with that?
With the
Oh yeah. So I stuck around. I was just a recent college graduate. I'm like, shit, I'll just substitute teach. So I would go teach these super rural, like Appalachian towns, and these kids would like berate me for not owning guns, and they would like call me a pussy for not having weapons and all this shit. Like, yeah, I go on my lunch break and go cruise around for a little smoke, and I come back and I'd be like, are these kids giving me a weird look? But it's probably just in my head.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's funny. OU, oh yeah, right. That's
yeah.
that's why my brother went there. So
Oh yeah. I knew that.
I just had a very probably one of the most well, I learned how big of a party school it was just from the siblings weekend one time. It was probably the worst night of my life. Somehow ended up in like Matt Lauer's old apartment doing Jello shots and stuff, and it was
that's so funny. Some of my buddies they stayed in Matt Lauer's old dorm room when they were like freshmen. So that's crazy. Yeah.
Which I mean,
what's that?
I was gonna say this used to be a lot cooler to say that you were in Matt Lauer.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about all that. Yeah. I guess you don't really want to. I wonder if they still have that like signed off as like they let you know who used to live there. I don't know.
I don't know. Well, so getting back to your music, you of course are an amazing guitarist, and I'm wondering how long have you been playing, and how many different instruments do you play too?
So I started playing guitar probably 4th grade. It was like right after I saw the Beatles anthologies, the ABC documentary. I was just like, oh, I want to do that. So started playing guitar then, and literally just been like 100% about it since then. I also played like in high school or middle school. I picked up the drums so I could play in the band, so I could like write the music for the band, and I would play the drums in the band because we didn't have any drummers. Bass, ukulele a bit, a little harmonica, piano, and just I guess from piano all kinds of keys from there. But yeah, mostly the guitar is like definitely my main instrument, and that's like what I took lessons for a handful of years when I was a kid.
I've seen you play the double necked guitar, and I never know like what is because I don't know why. I guess like is it because you can like have different setups on the? I never understood exactly how they work, dog.
So like anyone you've ever seen, pretty much except for this weird one I have, they're always like a 12 string and a 6 string. It's like that's what Jimmy Page would do, and that way you can just play a 12 string or 6 string, but most people, maybe he would use both of them in a super long song like Stairway to Heaven. But I mean, it's just because it looks wild. But mine in that band, our big song had electric like guitar riffs, a simple guitar riff for the verses, and then acoustic for the choruses was the main part. Okay. So I was like, well, I want to play the main parts. I don't want to play some fake part or some new part. So we got that instrument. It was actually part acoustic and part electric, and it's not a good guitar, but I tried to soup it up a bit. But yeah, it was a pain in the ass because you'd have to flip a switch on there between doing them, and I'd also have to do something with my foot pedals to switch the sound. So it was this real choreographed everything at once, and sometimes it went well, sometimes it didn't. I originally started off using like a stand that the acoustic would be on, but then the guitar would fall all the time, and that was no good. So
gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, it's a weird thing. I don't think I'll ever use it again. I just like to use that footage because I feel like it's like clickbait type stuff. Like, if you see that in the first 2 seconds of a video, I feel like some people might be more likely to be like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, I think they're pretty badass. I never knew, like what they, how.
Yeah. So I use mine like for practical purposes because I would want an electric and an acoustic. Gotcha. But I think most times when you see them, it's just for like shock and awe or something like that,
I mean, it works for both, I guess. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Going back in time a little bit, I guess I know your followers on TikTok probably know the story already, but I'm wondering if you can give maybe the extended version a little bit about kind of what the story with your old band that you were in and how you ended up in the new solo career that you're doing now.
So I was coming up in Cleveland. I was in a pretty good sized band around here, like a hip hop rock band. That band, we kind of reached like a stale point or something, and we were ending that. The drummer from that band, who owns this studio I'm in right now, who I work on him with my music still, he was like, "You want to try one more thing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he messaged this singer that he found on Facebook. The guy came out. We made a song the first night he was here, which he sent back to a manager in LA, and then we ended up getting a record deal, and the song got on the radio. The first thing we made the first night was fucking crazy. So then after that, we started touring, doing the stuff. We had a lot of success on alternative radio, alt rock radio, like maybe was that top 20 on Billboard charts of alt rock for like months.
Wow, nice.
And we were touring a lot, and I was already not. So I was drinking a lot. Like I've always drank. Like whenever I drink, it was like all or nothing. Like I can count the number of times I've had a few drinks like on one hand probably in my whole life,
Sure.
And I can't even count the number of times I've like gotten blacked out wasted, so it's
right.
So there's that. So that was going on. And then I was also just thinking like, gosh, like, my wife and I, we want to have kids at some point. I'm like, I don't want to be in a band that gets bigger and bigger, and then it's even harder to walk away, and then I'm just never there for when my kids are little. So then I kind of made the decision to I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna walk away. And I had like a real steady like sales job working from home. So I was like, all right, this will be fine. I'll make good money, all this stuff. It'll be cool. And then I also thought that drinking would chill out, but it didn't. I just was getting crazy with it. And after years of just drinking my ass off and not doing music or anything creatively, like I got obsessed with like cooking for a while or gardening. I just kept on trying to find places to, like, redirect the creative project energy, and then eventually it was just like drinking was like my passion almost. And I go balls to the wall and everything, so that wasn't very good.
Right.
And eventually, it was just some problems. Like my wife wasn't happy about it. I was always good when I was drunk, but afterwards I would just be mad at myself. It'd be just no good. So I quit drinking totally. And then I had a few months of just like, oh, everything's great. Everything's great. My gardening, my cooking, this, that. And then it was just like, oh, I need to make music again. Like I barely even listened to music in all those years after I quit the band. It was just like not really even a part. And then I was like, I want to make music again. And then I started just making a Christmas song, like a cover. And I'm like, oh, this feels good, man. This feels real good. And then I was like, I'm going to start making music for other people. Then I couldn't find the people. And I started making a couple songs. I'm like, man, this is cool. I don't want to just like not do anything with this. So I'm like, I'm going to try singing and writing the lyrics, which I'd never done before. And then I was like, all right, I'm just going to give it a shot. And here we are a couple of years later. And it's a lot different. It's a lot harder. There's all kinds of obstacles being my age and all that stuff going at it. But here I am doing it. So.
Well, congrats, man, on doing that. That's a huge accomplishment in and of itself. And then
that's a very long-winded version of the story, so I apologize.
No, that's what I was asking for. That's great. I mean, and I gotta say too, I'm always impressed with you outside of just your music, because you got to be the hardest working rocker I think I know. And I see all these music videos and stuff that you do, and then I'm just wondering, like, where did you learn to do all that stuff, and how do you have time to sleep with all the stuff that you do?
Yeah, so the time is like, I don't know how I make that happen. It's kind of like I wake up, I'll have maybe the 20 minutes when I'm having my coffee before I go work. I'm like, I'm like loading some TikToks up. I'm trying to get that stuff. It's always just like a rush. I'm always catching up. I'm always a day late and a buck short, it feels like. But then in the end, it's still progress. So I have to remind myself of that. I don't know. It's like some things I can kind of sit down and watch cartoons with my kids and do something on the computer, or when they go to bed, I'll go downstairs, or my wife's real cool. She'll let me come over to the studio to actually work on the music. But yeah, a lot of it is just not even arranging my days, but being very conscious of when I will have 20 minutes, 30 minutes I can go do something with, and just trying to stay on top of the time. And I don't know. I'm really good at consistency. I'm really good at persistence, and I guess at this point, those are like, and I'm just like I said, I just go big or go home typically. So that I guess is that, and I don't know. I just had this fire in me. I don't know. And then how I learned how to do it all was like just over time, I guess, just from coming around and working in the studio with my buddy. I learned how to do all the recording shit and then all the video stuff just from making little things for my bands, like just small, like started off real simple. Then I just got bigger and bigger and better and better. And I'm pretty like confident and happy with, the video skills at this point. So.
Oh yeah, I love your stuff. I mean, because you pretty much produce your own video or record and produce them all, right? I mean, it seems
Yeah.
like
The last couple ones I've had my buddy shoot it with his good camera.
nice.
So then I'll edit it all. So yeah.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think that my favorite song of yours is actually the song "Supernatural Disaster," and I love that one. And I don't know. I take it to be kind of about how our leaders use religion to kind of push their own greed and agendas and everything. So I'm curious, like what inspired you to make that, and were you drawn on any of your own like religious background experiences, or where'd that come from? I guess.
Yes to all of it. I think it was around the time of shit. I should probably know her name. That girl who was like, they killed her, and maybe I ran for taking her hijab off or something like that. All those protests maybe like a year ago.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Isham or
I can't remember, to be honest.
But do you remember the incident?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that happened, and I was just like, God, I'm like this. I was so having the obvious thoughts about it. And I started just thinking about all the things because that was kind of just really just like strong footage that just really just like hits you like, oh my God, all the protests and all that stuff. So that was pulling at my heartstrings, and then from there, usually like, something pulls on my heart, and then it causes me to think, and then I have to write a song or something like that.
Sure.
I was just thinking about all the normal things, just like God, like I know for a fact all these at the heart of it, all these religious books or whatever, they're meant to like explain things to people who need explanation, who didn't have science, and then they're also meant to like guide people to do hopefully the right things morally. And there seems to be an effort, I think, in all those texts to like do good by and for people. You know what I mean? And then you see all these people, like the majority of people, everybody who, in my opinion, is the most outspoken, waving the flag type thing about that. A lot of the times they seem to be the ones who have like really skewed it towards more selfish type agenda, be it money or power, or I guess they're the same thing, So then at that point, it's just like, holy shit, you got all these people who are following this stuff with all that they got, and they're being misled by people who know what they're doing and are using some pretty sophisticated like techniques to, maintain that power and manipulation. And, here, everywhere, probably historically forever, I'm sure. And then,
right.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's that's probably, maybe it's just because of my own like I was going to be a youth minister growing up, and so maybe it's my own religious background because I'm not even part of that faith anymore whatsoever. But but I think that especially when I see people like from maybe it's just because of the fact that I was a part of that community, but like the evangelical Christians like tend to piss me off the most, and so and they're probably the ones that are most like that, I think, here in this country at least. So it just definitely I don't know, maybe that's why I like that song so much. So
yeah, I think a lot of people relate to it because of like personal experience. Like I grew up, I guess, Catholic, I guess, like going to church on Sundays, going like the Monday PSR classes. As I got older, I'm just like, just a lot of the people I see in this church, I hear them say things and see them do things that are just not in line with what we're, you know what I mean, with the whole thing. I'm like, all right, something's right here. So yeah, I'm with you on that for sure.
Well, one thing that's probably not condoned still, I guess, in any of those circles would be our love of greenery and I know that you talk about your alcohol addiction a lot on TikTok and everything too, and I'm wondering if you find that weed helps at all with the whole sobriety thing.
I think it helped. Well, I know it helped me like not drink
Mhm.
because at the point of like just like drinking and smoking a bunch, like if I just had to just stop everything and like I've taken like a month-long break here or there, but I remember just thinking like the thought of going of stopping all of it at once forever was just like unfathomable. It was just not something that I could have wrapped my head around. So I think I would have backtracked into both of them had I tried to stop them both. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it helped me quit drinking. I'm sure,
Mhm.
and I'm sure to a large extent I do it a lot for the same reasons that I drank a lot. Whatever, be it like just chilling myself out or anxiety, whatever it is, like slowing my mind down, an escape, whatever it is, but it's not so harmful. Sure, I'm not going to say like it's the most healthy physical thing or even mental thing to do, but I think I was telling somebody the other day who was asking me about like what to do about drinking too much. I'm like, I mean, can you become a pothead? What
Right.
I mean, I'm like, my best advice would have become like kind of a raging pothead for a while, and then go from there. you know, and,
I
and
no, I totally agree. I mean, I used to. I mean, up until like a year ago, probably I was definitely a heavy drinker, and I've slowed way down thanks in large part to my fiance. And but I would say that weeds definitely helped me kind of make that transition to where I
yeah,
can just have like a couple drinks and be okay. But
yeah,
I
oh,
wasn't sure, to be honest. Like, and I was scared too, of like, well, what am I, what am I going to replace it with, that kind of thing. And
yeah, for
it's
sure.
definitely way better of a vice to have if you're going to have a vice, I think. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. For
I
sure.
just, I don't see, um, yeah, I mean, I just don't see it being nearly as harmful. So
Well, I remember hearing someone talk, I don't know if it's a podcast or TikTok or Instagram or something, but about like the organic desire to be high. And when they said that, yeah, I'm like, you know what? I'm like, because with life and shit, like sometimes it's like you do want to take like a break, a chill, like a reset, and that's reasonable. You
right.
know what I mean? Especially like nowadays, everyone's doing all kinds of shit all the time. It's just yeah, it's reasonable to do. And if it's gonna be like smoking a joint, I mean that's got to be better for body, mind, soul, family, wallet probably than like getting wasted.
Oh yeah.
And
I find it helps me with my bipolar too, just because like especially if I get manic, I just get ramped up. I can't stop my kind of like racing thoughts kind of thing, and it
yeah,
helps me to just like slow down and not
really, that's
think
wild.
about
I didn't know that.
yeah, I mean, like, and it's a very controversial kind of, like it's still not. Most doctors aren't like, yeah, you should try weed if you're bipolar, because like I think there's still a fear that it can definitely like induce mania for some people.
Yeah,
And but for me, I've found it definitely helps me just relax more for sure when I'm manic. And then when I'm depressed, I'm usually anxious, and so it helps with the
yeah.
anxiety as well. So
That's interesting. That's kind of like how with like mushrooms, for people with different things. Like a lot of people say, like, yeah, give it a shot. Then other doctors or other experts, alleged experts, are like, yeah, we don't know enough, and it could totally send you down the wrong path, and it could make things worse. Is that kind of like the skepticism that the medical community would have around it?
yeah, I think it's just a lot of caution still. Although, like I literally my last guest on here was Dr. Mary Clifton, and she's like an MD who specializes in helping people or treat people with cannabis. And she was sharing a lot of the research and stuff and how it can actually be pretty helpful. So I think that the medical community is finally starting to come around to understand how it can be helpful, which is cool.
That is cool. And just
So
think, now we're in Ohio. I mean, we're in Ohio where it's legal now, so.
Exactly. Yeah.
Isn't
So
that something? Did you ever think when you were like in high school or whatever that you would live to see that day in Ohio?
I mean, I wasn't gonna hold my breath for sure. So,
Yeah.
if anything, I figure we would be going the other way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy about it. So,
Yeah, I definitely voted for it. So
right, as long as it stays that way, it would be
yeah.
good. So,
I had my
but
medical card for a while, but that was so expensive.
oh yeah, I know I do too. And yeah, I mean, it's like you're looking at like $200 a year just to get
Well,
into.
and I mean, I'm talking about the stuff in the dispensary.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Oh
just
yeah, that is super expensive
like
too. Yeah.
$200 a week.
Yep. Um, Well, your song, one that I like a lot too, is a new one that you got, "Hold On," which I know is a new single, and I'm wondering maybe if you could talk a little bit about that one and maybe the inspiration behind that a little bit, and then hopefully we could actually listen to it.
Yeah. So it's inspired, I guess, by kind of like where I'm at in my life, but also by like the Dylan Thomas poem, "Do not go gentle into that good night."
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
Rage and burn, or rage against the dying of the light, I believe.
Mhm.
Um, so it's kind of, I've kind of been realizing that all my songs that I write are almost like me writing to myself, saying like reassuring myself of something or encouraging myself of something. Hopefully it's relatable,
Yeah.
but so it's like just about the feeling of, I don't know, just like I love to make music, and put it out there and do things to connect and all that stuff. But it's really hard to make the time and find the energy to really get it done at any level that is satisfying to me. So it's just like, like hold. So I'm telling myself, come on, hold on to this like fire, this passion in you, like while you got it, like this is what you want to do, like fuck what anyone says, type thing, and like the first line of the song is just like it's nice to see you, my old friend. It's been a long while since you've been around, and I don't want to lose you again. And like that was just, it was like an evening when I was by myself with my guitar, and I just felt good about things. Like I had been like real just like depressed or bummed out for like a week before that, just in general. And then whenever that happens, it's kind of get down like, oh, what am I doing about all this music stuff? What am I crazy? This is stupid. But then I was, I started feeling really good. And I'm just like, ooh, I'm like, no, dude. I'm like, this is cool. I'm like, there I am. There's that guy. Like, so nice to see you, my old friend. Like that, the passionate guy who's like wants to go for it and like has that fire and is like happy about it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, and then just telling other people, you're gonna die someday. So like, what does it matter if what does it matter? Just do some things that make you feel alive and good, and even if it's not, just for profit or whatever it is that we're supposed to do things for.
Right. Absolutely. Well, let's take a listen.
Nice to see you, my old friend. It's been a long while since you've been around, and I don't want to lose you again. 'Cause I can open my eyes and this could all be gone. Or I could shut them again when I get tired. Stay away for too long, grasping for a fading eternity. Hold on, don't let it slip away. Rage and burn into the shadows of the day. Hold on, we won't make it out alive. Rage and burn against the dying of
but if people want to find you, where all can they find you, either online or in the real world?
So they can find me
Hey, nice.
um, on TikTok is like it seems to be where I have the most success. But also Instagram, YouTube, music of course is like everywhere. But go follow me on Spotify. That would be fantastic. But yeah, follow me on all those sites because my Instagram is growing slowly and I'd like it to speed up. So,
Sure.
but yeah, it's at oh, that's not good lighting. It's at San Salinas with an underscore before and after both words.
Perfect.
So that's convenient and easy to tell people.
All right, and then are you going to be? Do you think? Because I know, aren't you trying to get like a group together up there now? Or
I'm trying. Well, when I say I'm trying to, I'm thinking a lot about it and in the phases of manifesting it, hopefully. But no, I mean, I put out a few posts. I have just so much stuff going on that it's like even finding 30 minutes to send out some texts to some people is just like, all right, I got 20 minutes. Do I want to post a TikTok or do I want to do this? But yeah, I got to get on that. Like, it's my goal to play live with a band at least by like when the weather starts getting nice out again, you know? Yeah. And then from there, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it all works because when I was in my hip hop rock band back in the day, Iconic, we would just book shows like any show we can get, and a lot of them weren't worth doing. So if I'm getting a new band together, I'd have to pay these guys for every show. So every show has to like at least pay for them. So then I have to get with a booking agent and just figure out it's going to be a whole thing. But there I am, just thinking out loud again.
Hey, well, I mean, I wish you lived in Dayton or I lived in Cleveland because I'd love to be a drummer in that. But
dude, that would be sweet.
It's just so far. I wish it was closer.
I've seen you play drums before. You posted videos of it, and you're like playing like jazz stuff. Like you're good, you know.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that's what I started off playing. And I only strum the guitar really and know some chords. That's it. It's like all I do on that. But I kind of started that because I lived in an apartment for a while and I couldn't move my drum set in there. So, but that's kind of my first passion, I guess, music wise. So
yeah. I forgot. Yeah, you put out that song like 7 months ago or whatever. Like
yeah, it was a while. Yeah,
that was a cool song.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah,
I just wanted to see how it worked. I'd never tried to make something on my own before, but but yeah, I wish you were closer. I would try to get in there with you.
No, you know, if I've heard, I already could have a band assembled if like all these different people who messaged me all moved to Cleveland,
right?
You know, maybe I could pay them like $50 a gig for the first few months, and that would justify them moving across the country and relocating.
I wish, man. Well, if I ever move to Cleveland, I'll be sure to let you know. So
yeah, hell yeah.
Well, cool, man. Thanks so much for talking with me and everything. I really appreciate it. And
dude, thank you so much for having me. I just want to say that like you were like the first person on TikTok to like comment or message me like, man, this stuff's so relatable. Like, I love this, and like keep consistently commenting on my stuff a little bit. Like, so you're like my first like social media friend. And like I really feel like I like know you like so much as like a person, and like you're just a cool dude, man. You know, so I really do appreciate you, you know, having me on your show and taking the time to do this with me. So,
well, no, thanks, man. I really appreciate that, and yeah, I've loved your stuff since I first heard it. So I'm definitely a big fan. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in person one day. I hope soon, whether it's on stage or wherever.
It must happen.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again, and I'll be sure to splice that video in later on.
If you need any help, let me know. I got the editing software. So.
All right, cool, man. We'll do. Take care.
All right, man. You too. Nice talking to you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. All right. That was my interview with San Salinas, aka Matt Gibson, and it was great talking with him. If you haven't heard of him before, I hope you'll go check out his music and give him a listen, and be sure to follow him on TikTok. He's an incredible songwriter, both lyrically and musically, and that's pretty rare, so definitely give him a listen. And thank you for listening as well, or watching, as the show's now on YouTube as well. If you want to learn more about me and the stuff I do, check out my website at gemcitydudistpriest.com, where you can find out how to do everything from hire me to take you to Bosnia or be the officiant at your wedding. Either way, be sure to follow me on TikTok, if you're not already, at gemcitydudistpriest.com. And until next time, take care, everyone, and Happy New Year.